And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that wants to help amazing players find great designers who's love their games and help amazing. Wait, which one did I say first? Hold on, let's do it again. We want to help amazing designers find great players who love their games, and amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but one of my favorite ways is sitting down with those designers to talk about their games. We're doing that in an entirely new way tonight. This is the inaugural episode of a new show format that's replacing our previous prestige class interviews. It's called Procedures at Play. Procedures at Play. The goal is to sit down with a designer and talk about a game that they've made and talk specifically about the design choices and the mechanics and other things that drive play at the table. They're designed to create the fun of that. And I'm excited to have with me tonight Jordan Dube of Goosepoop Games. I've never said your last name out loud. Did I do it right? Was that the right, was that the right one? Dube, damn it. Doobie,
Yeah.
doo. That fits you. That fits you way better. And so, well, I'm glad to have you, Jordan. I'm excited about Black Flies. I'm looking forward to getting into it in just 1 second. But if you're in the chat, feel free, let people know that you're here live and they can join us. You can retweet, share the post over on Blue Sky. But Third Floor Wars, super excited to have you with us. Super excited to have you check out the game. Anybody who wants to check out Black Flies can just go straight to ttrpg.link/Black Flies. It'll take you over to the backer kit page where we are in the first day-ish of funding right now over on backer kit. But Jordan, why don't you tell people a little about who you are, what you do over at Goosepoop Games, but also tell us about Black Flies.
Yeah. So, hey everyone, I'm Jordan, and so at Goosepoop Games, it's my little game studio where I design games focused on accessibility and absurdity. So I make some weird stuff that you may have never thought about. And uses some weird mechanics, and I also focus on bringing new players in to the game scene. That's kind of my big focus, UX design and making things accessible for people to play. Black Flies is kind of this crazy idea I thought of when I was vending at PAX East, and I was just standing there, and I was like, well, what if there were bugs and you just, instead of you know, like how vampires turn into bats, you just turn into a cloud of black flies, and wouldn't that be cool? And then David the artist walked up at like that moment of me sprouting this thought and was like, hey, I have this art. And I looked at it and I was like, well, I know what game I'm gonna make next, because it's just wild and it's really great. So yeah, Black Flies, play as cultists. It's a GM-less dice pool mechanics. You're haunting a little town up in Acadia, and you're trying to gain the most followers and achieve your fortune. Kind of has like a little bit of werewolf. I think it's a little secretive. You're all working against each other, so it's a little different than other GM-less games where you're all, or TTRPGs in general, where you're all kind of working together. Yeah, and then you're going around, that kind of thing.
Excellent. Yeah, there's my friend John DeCampos over at Terrible Games has a couple games he has that he describes as co-op until they're not, or co-op until it stops.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of great things that you're doing that make people decide when are they working together and just yes anding, and when are they like, nope, I want that. Also, thanks Third Floor Wars for being the 21st backer on the project. We really appreciate
Nice.
that. The art is gorgeous, is a weird form to use, but it is a visually striking game. I really love it. But you do these great GM-less games. I know that it was all the flies swarming around my horrible scent at PAX East as we stood next to each other that really drove that into into focus. But yeah, it is Your games are so fast to play, so easy to pick up, and this one is no exception. Like I'm always really impressed by the length of your games. Right? They even though the books may be some of them are sub 20 pages, other ones are significantly larger, but they
Mhm.
all play in an hour or less for the most part, and they're all GMless. Everybody kind of shares that burner. I think they're all GMless. Most of them are GMless.
Yeah, all my big
Oh,
yeah,
your bigger titles are GMless, yeah,
yeah.
and there's a real great sense of engagement around them. But this is like kind of your first time stepping into horror and darker themes. I want to talk about that in a second, but
Right.
Third Floor Wars wants to know, was it GMless from the start, or did that come in later development? And we could also talk about that, not just from this game, but like GMless games as a whole are a huge focus of yours. So do you want to talk about the choice to make
Yeah.
this a GMless game?
Um, yeah, when I first started this, it was not meant to be GMless. It was gonna be, um, I think what kind of led it there was I wanted the players to kind of have a lot. I was thinking of a horror game where the players are the scary ones, and then the GM is kind of like the NPC that's like, "Oh no, I'm in the house," blah blah blah. Um, and so I was just thinking of like, all right, what if the players had more control over the scene and that kind of aspect? And then I pitched this to my friend, and he was just like, "That should be a GM-less game." And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's a GM-less game. I just kind of naturally make
Here
GM-less
I go
games.
again.
Here I go again.
They keep pulling me back into making everybody have the same kind of fun, and so
Yeah.
awesome. No, I love that. Yeah, but you, like I said, there's a big focus on that. Tell me a little bit about the choice. Like, I mean, you said it started with just this. What if you could poof into a bunch of flies, right? But this is kind of like a little bit of a tonal departure, I think, for you, and a lot of things. You want to talk about the choice to kind of lean into some of those darker themes and tones?
Um, well, some of the reason was, I mean, part of my audience was kind of like I got like the people who show up and get really excited about my stuff are usually like the goblin kind of people who are just like, oh, look at this stuff, this is crazy and weird. And then but also that same kind of circle of people will also be into horror, and so I love horror. I personally go to theaters at like the last showing at night with just by myself and some popcorn, and I call that my self-care. And so I that's I love horror, and that is not really obvious from the brand that I've created.
And you might not know this, but Jordan has also fully committed to this bit and was blondish brownish yesterday. And has dyed their hair black and tried to put on eyeliner yesterday for the first time and went out and bought black
I
clothing.
oh
It
my
feels like, and has fully committed to going goth.
I had to buy like a whole wardrobe of black because I only owned like two black shirts.
And like you wear bright colors most of the time. Like it's not just like, oh, I don't have any black. It is like you are a bright colored person in general.
Yeah.
I love it. Third Floor Wars also wants to know, what are your top 5 horror movies of all time? Give us one right now, and we'll unveil the list as we play. So, what's one of your
It's
top
really
horror movies?
Hereditary is one of
Hereditary.
the, yeah.
Excellent.
I think what made it so good was their marketing just gave a big surprise. They never gave away the actual what happened in the movie.
Yeah. Um,
And I don't want to give it away,
yeah.
but
Go watch Hereditary. Um,
yeah, go watch Hereditary.
So, like I said, our focus here, we want to talk about some of those intentional design choices, and really kind of dial in on a couple of different things. I think, we talked a little bit about the specific mechanics. Like you've got a dice pool system. I like the way it works because I feel like when you describe it, it sounds kind of like the opposite of what most people would think it working. Like most dice pool systems, you build them up bigger and bigger. In yours, the dice pool gets a little smaller and smaller as depending on what's happening in the scene.
Yeah.
And so give us just the overview of kind of the dice pool system. And then the second half, we're going to talk a little bit about the legacy mechanics that you've created for like if people are playing multiple playthroughs of the game. But let's start with just the dice pool. So talk to us, just give us a general sense of how the dice mechanics work, maybe why a dice pool system, and then just walk us through a roll.
Sure. Yeah. So, dice pool system, you just build it by having, you start with 6 dice and then 3 dice per player. That's really just to scale time, really. And so whenever the gameplay goes around, per player becomes the active player of the moment. And so whenever that player of the moment decides on an action that is kind of uncertain, they'll take a roll and they'll start with 6 dice, and then they'll subtract whatever stat the player to the left says that they're using. So if like I'm trying to pickpocket somebody, the person to my left says, all right, you use your speed stat. And so I have 2 in speed, so 6, I have 4 dice now. And then I can have someone else help me and use their stat to decrease it down lower. And so when you roll the dice work differently than in other TTRPGs. So they're all 6-sided dice, and the numbers determine who has narrative control
Yeah.
over the game.
So let's
So,
frame that up a little bit. So like once you've rolled those dice, how do those numbers determine that? Like give me a same example.
yeah. So I'm down to 2 dice, and someone has helped me, and then I roll let's say like a 3 and a 6. And so the 3 at the beginning of the game for startup, we'll just count in a circle, just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are your assigned numbers. And then so the player who is 3 means they have a narrative action, and then a 6 is like an omen. So that is it's kind of more flavor of like,
It's like
oh,
things pop off when you get a 6.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So something in the world is happening. Um, and then it also raises the malign tracker, which if that reaches 6, people turn into flies, and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this. I added a little bit of the randomness into not sure what's going to happen with the omens,
Mm-hmm.
but I really wanted to get the feeling like to avoid good or bad, you
Right.
know. So like in a lot of RPGs, I do it too in some of my RPGs where it's like fail with success, like, or complications or succeed, that kind of thing. But in real life, that doesn't really exist,
Right.
you know. So it's like I kind of want it to be more like real life, where like I love observing how people get like work through obstacles. So seeing people just like be like, all right, you're the narrator, you can be really nice to the active player, you can make it fail, it's really up to you, or you could do something entirely different.
Yeah, I love that. But and like I said, this is one of the interesting things. I think lots of people when they think about a dice pool system, like they're like, oh, I'm pushing it bigger and bigger, right? Like I want the biggest dice pool possible. But the more dice you have on the table also sounds like the more other players get to talk into the scene
Right.
you framed up, how the action is resolving. And so like and they might give you some like, like you might get two threes, and so three, there's like other ways it layers in,
Yeah.
but there's that normal thing of like, oh, I just want to get as many dice in my dice pool as possible so I can succeed is usually the mindset. And this one, if you want more control, you do want to
You
pull
want
that
less
dice number
dice.
down. And so it is like, hey, how do I help people? What's like picking actions that are going to reinforce things that my character is naturally good at are choices that you're making. So did you start with a decreasing dice pool, or did you play it with an increasing dice pool? Where did that kind of reductive, like moving down concept come from?
Yeah, so I actually been thinking of, I was working on another horror game that I kind of shelved for the moment. where it uses dice pool, and it kind of has the more like structured success with complications thing. And but the whole idea is why I like the dice pool is it naturally tells the players like how much time we have left in the game, and um it adds that tension, kind of like where it's like, uh-oh, the end's coming near, we should better do some more stuff, we need to get more active, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's kind of the big reason, was to build that tension, especially with like, to me, in a horror game, you kind of want that like anxiousness the whole time.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about the mechanic that's like helping count that down. Is that like the malign tracker? Like, is that what's pushing us towards our ultimate
um
end of the game?
so so every time you roll and people take narrative actions, those dice get removed from the game.
Okay.
So like whenever an omen happens or someone describes something, those dice are removed.
Awesome. So you can frame up a scene and just be navigating in the scene as long as you're not doing anything uncertain, or if it seems like something your character should just be able to do, we're just narrating through what's happening, having things move around. It's once we hit those uncertain moments, that's really when we're hitting a dice mechanic. And so that is a dwindling pile of resources, which means you've got less complications that are going to consistently come up. You're less likely to roll a six. But that moment could come at any point in time as those dice are getting pulled. So there's not a point at which we reset and go, oh, here's six more dice, or here's whatever. Like that's
Yeah.
driving us towards the end. Awesome. Like I
Right.
love that.
And then so like to add dice back, you have to use like certain abilities, and everybody has different kind of abilities and
Awesome.
stuff.
You want to give us an example of a couple of those?
Yeah, so I got a couple player sheets right here. So
Characters
there's
are also all,
one,
the characters are also all really excellent archetypes. Like you picked a lot of really
yeah,
great
and
horror
and I
theme
made it
archetypes
so
to
you
work
could
in.
peek at the character sheets for free on the campaign. So yeah, there's like the warden has quick strike, so that one you can remove an NPC from any scene, describe the aftermath, add one discarded die back into the dice pool and one into your storage die. So everybody, if you roll doubles, you take one of those doubles and add it to your storage, and then that means you can narrate a scene at any time
Cool.
if
I
you'd
love it.
like. Yeah. And then there's one ability that I love that is in every character, and it's just induce visions. So because I wanted
At any
because
point in time, if you want to have a special psychic connection to the problem,
right,
you can.
I wanted, because I wanted it to be introduce otherworldly stuff, because it's set in the real world. So I'm like, I want wacko stuff to happen. So like induce visions, like anything, like stuff happens, that kind of thing. And people, the games I played in it, people come up with some messed up stuff.
I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent. And at the end of the day, like all of this is you are all members of a cult to a fly cryptid that is pronounced
Distras.
Zistras. I've only seen it written so far.
Yeah.
And I didn't
So
want another Dube incident.
yeah,
And so
people said Zerts. I'm like, I also like that. That
yeah.
sounds cool.
But it's a fly cryptid that you're all worshiping, and so there's a lot of those vibes kind of worked through the entire thing. I really love it because I think it's easy to set up that same cryptid coming back, but also like what are the other things you potentially want to do in your own little setting. Like I think it's a very easy one to flex into other things. But I love the fly theming that you've kind of pulled through the entire thing, and I just love that initial story of like what if you just burst into flies instead of bats. Is so great. But you talked a little bit earlier, like it's this kind of you're all collaborating and kind of working together because you want to build up the cult, but there is this competitive like quality to play also to both of the narrative control and overall. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, So people are kind of to win the game, you are trying to get the most points. And to get the most points, you have to have the most followers. You each time you complete an ability, that counts as a point. And then everybody has a secret fortune that they're trying to complete. And so there are different kind of tasks out there. It could be like give someone 3 followers, something like that. And everybody has the ability to add and subtract followers from each other. The thing is, they have to spend their own stat points
in order to
to
do that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that, and I do love that like ebb and flow, and it is like it is taking the hidden role game elements, like having those secret pathways, take those hidden role abilities, and like I'm a huge fan of hidden role games. Like I will sit down and play a hidden role game all the time. I am ridiculously good at them also too. Like to toot my own horn. Veiled Fate. If you've never played Veiled Fate, probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
It is because I can be pretty sure at the end who I think everyone is, but it is one of the few games where I really do not feel like I have a good command of exactly who is who at the end of the
Yeah.
game. I mean, I love a lot of the classic ones, but I it is Veiled Fate is just absolutely my favorite. I'm a huge fan of hidden role games, and it does always feel like I play them like I play RPGs. Like I have like
Yeah.
pseudo character conversations. We make accusations. Like I love being able to inhabit just a little bit in those games, and they're so easy to pick up. And so like I was really excited to see those elements in play here for those kind of like what are the goals that you're working to versus everybody else. And I think it makes it really easy to get people who have played those games to take one step further and try a role playing game if they
Right.
know they really love that genre too. But the other thing we've talked about and that I want to be able to focus on besides just the dice pool is like there's some map drawing elements to this game, and you added a thing recently in playtesting called boons that are both kind of essentially legacy mechanics. They're things that live on like beyond just the singular instance of play. Like you're establishing things, but like they're things that you can come back to over and over again. So let's talk a little bit about like what made you decide to have essentially legacy mechanics? Like what was that choice like? Did the map come in earlier? Did it come in later? Like what tell us a little bit about that.
Um
Oh wait, before you do that, because I've delayed a little bit. Could you give us two
yeah.
more of your top five favorite
Oh,
horror movies?
more. Um
Hereditary you had as one of them.
oh, I'm totally blanking on the name and I feel so bad. Um oh, it's the it's the creepy couple one. Where the like the Conjuring people, but they made another one, the same actors. Uh and then the dad gets possessed by like this nun. Oh, the nun is good. I really like the
The
nun.
Nun.
Yeah, that one was good. A very recent one where I'm like, um, I will never watch this again, but it was filmed very well, was Substance. And
I haven't watched it yet. It is high on my list to watch. Horror like I enjoy horror a lot more than I think I ever thought I did.
yeah,
But it took watching a lot of other people who love horror, like watching movies with them to understand what they love about the genre that really pushed it home for me. But Substance and a lot of the high production and like really beautifully executed narratives lately that we've had in
yeah,
horror, I love. Yeah.
yeah. It's the I would not suggest eating anything
No
during it.
popcorn for that one.
No, I could not. I had my big bowl and then I was just like, oh no. But yeah, that one was really good.
All right, the nun, and the substance. We got it. All
Yeah,
right. So let's
I
talk
got
about the decision to include the map and other legacy mechanics in Black Flies. I'm going to put it up
sure.
on the screen next to us. This is going to come. So the game is actually physically a 6x6 booklet, right? Like so, it is a non-standard size, and after a lot of work to get a custom quote, the map will fold and fit right on top of it also too, as a little 6x6 folded map. I'm super excited about it. But this takes place in does this take place in Maine, the spookiest state of them all?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And you'll get the this there's a version where you get this map also too over on the campaign. There's some little symbols you can draw. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about the choice to include the map drawing mechanics and how they work.
Yeah, so I just wanted something that kind of felt like I know this was built as like a one shot, but as the player that is owning the book, I think it's a nice thing to like slowly see this progression of time go on the more games you play. And you're almost like the sense of building something is very satisfying and fulfilling. The only problem that I made for this map was that whenever you go to visit a location as a cult, it deteriorates when you leave. Like nothing good happens when you are there. So most of the time there's like the place burns down, or I have an example in the book where it's just a giant sinkhole happens and everybody just starts sliding in. Um, but yeah, and the feeling of progression was also spawned from like games like The Quiet Year was a big inspiration, where you're just kind of like working together to like, this is our thing now, this is our place because we put it on the map and now we have more ownership of the game and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Um, and then boons you also talked about are kind of like legacy mechanics too. Like
Mhm.
and this is new, so I don't like we haven't even really talked about how they work. So I'm super excited to like
Yeah,
dive in and hear more about these boons that you've added.
I really like it. So one player just like during a play test was, I actually think it was the editor of the game. He was like, you should have just like something the winner chooses. Like this is a TTRPG, so like winning doesn't really feel like, woo, I'm better than everybody. It's like, no, that was fun. We all had a fun time. And that's kind of the spirit of the game, really. But boons are something the winning player can choose for the next game. So like when you first play Black Flies, it's kind of vanilla Black Flies. But then there's some
My favorite flavor of fly.
is vanilla. Um, and so I have some really great ones. And so the boons just kind of break the rules a little bit, add a little more kind of rules to it. Also like almost changes the game entirely. So there's one for that instance where
Ah,
um,
hold on. People can
you
see behind the scenes. Oh no, they can't. That was off screen. Never mind. I had switched things.
okay,
Keep on going. I thought I had a technical issue, but I didn't, and that caused
great,
me to create a narrative issue.
nice. Um, Like there's one where it's like a world away where everybody's actually on different parts of the island sending letters to each other. So that could be a fun boon where you're just not all at the same table and you're just like sending a little email kind of game or something like that if you wanted to turn black flies into something. Um, there's one that I really love where it's called Beefcake Lumberjacks, and everyone plays as they're just very strong. So everybody starts with 2 strength, and then anytime you do a strength check, you add 1 stat point to your strength, and so you just keep on getting buff.
Beefier and
Uh,
beefier.
yeah. So the that kind of breaks the game a little bit because then you will stop rolling dice, but you'll still lose one die no matter what. Um, and then whoever has the most strength gets 2 fortune points at the end. So it's like an additional way to earn points. And then another one is really fun that I enjoy is called It Spreads. So the maligned, I didn't really talk much about the maligned, but they're like, imagine um Jeff Goldblum from The Fly and that just like this deformed humanoid fly creature. doesn't have any um following, kind of brain dead. So it spreads is malign followers will slowly spread, doubling after the next active player unless they are taken care of. If someone spends a stat point to take it out, if there are no followers to turn into the maligned, players will start turning into maligned themselves.
So it is that kind of like escalation, but they can go in different directions. Like you and I talked about, like the like, hey, it's fun to play like, like, hey, is this the first Evil Dead, and then we're coming back for, like Evil Dead 2, and it's a very different tonal reality. The budget may be bigger, but like maybe we didn't get the same actors or the same director, or we've just decided to go with a tonally entire different thing because the studio had notes. Like it does let you kind of pop off in some very different directions
Right.
for a follow-up play set in the same world, which is a great thing to say for your next favorite horror movie. What's a favorite horror movie you have that is not the first in its series?
Not the first in its thing.
Yeah, so it can't be the first one. It's got to be at least the second one in a series.
Oh, that's good. Good thing I looked it up. Insidious was really great. All of the City Eye.
City Eye.
Um, yeah, there's like 3. Well, actually, 3 was bad, but we just ignore that
Just
one.
because something's bad doesn't mean it can't be your favorite, also, too. So
It's true. So yeah, Insidious, and then the Sinister was really great. I really like Sinister. The another shout out would be I think it's Black Phone. That one was cool
okay.
because like it was a positive ending. I was like, oh, this worked out. Cool.
Now you're just giving away favorite things for free. We're past 5.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So, I mean, like you've been doing a lot of like play testing of this, public plays of this, like a lot of other things. What out of the mechanics we've talked about, the map drawing, other things like that, like what are what are people responding to the most? Like what are the moments at the table that you think are kind of resonating most
Mm,
with players, or what's some of the favorite kind of scenes that you've been able to be a part of or like overhear while people are playing?
yeah. I think I've had very positive feedback about the whole like spending a narrative action and how the dice pool kind of balances. It creates a great story, like a natural story arc where oh, we have all this dice, we're gonna take things slow, just like describe things and yada yada, and then like after 40 minutes or so, you're like, oh, we need to things need to happen, uh, and so we're gonna make big moves.
So it
And
starts out
then
kind of forgiving, which gives people space to just kind of explore it, narrative, and then like starts to funnel down really fast.
yeah, and I think that's it. It kind of plays like a horror movie where it just gets it's like build up, intro scene, and then climactic event, and then close, and then I said the loser gets to narrate the epilogue. So or the person who has the least followers, they're not a loser, but
But
you know
we all point at them, and that's one of the things
we
that
all
is
point
is
at
you
them
say
and you're like,
loser, loser,
you get
loser,
to do
and that's when their psychic powers activate and the horror movie becomes real.
it.
And so, no, I love that. If you're out there watching right now, if you have questions, Third Floor Horror has thrown out some good ones. We covered a couple different kind of the mechanical pieces of Black Flies. The part you want to hear more about, if you want to know more about Jordan's horror recommendations, or just current existential dread that Jordan's experiencing. These are all great. These are all great things to ask about.
Yeah.
Uh, so feel free to drop those in, but also make sure you go to ttrpg.link/blackflies to check it out, because it's a good game and it do be funding right now over on BackerKit. But no, yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'm always really impressed by how your GMless games specifically, like Good Soup, things come together. And again, like the speed of play. I think people think about RPGs as these like, oh, like we have to set aside like
This
6
time.
hours on a Saturday, or like we need 4-hour sessions and half of that's going to be like they think about these big long plays, but like if people went fast on this, like you could play a session in 30 minutes if you just didn't do as much of that
Yeah,
front
just with
loading.
like
You could get
3
hard quick.
or 4 dice or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
you could scale it. But like, yeah, that goes in back into my goal with accessibility. It's like trying to introduce new players into the scene. So if I can create something that's easy to throw together, I'm trying not to make it feel like an obstacle in their mind where it's like, oh, and then I have to get this together, and I just don't know if I can do that. And like when I pitch, I have another my first GM-less game, Goosepoop. Um, that one you can use real soup to play, so it's pretty silly. How I get players who are like new into TRPGs, or friends that are like, or people who are like, I have my friends and I really want to get them in, but I don't really know. And I'm like, just have a potluck and then set this book down and just say like, if you were a woodland animal, where would you go? And then there you go, you got the game.
yeah.
And so yeah.
And you do a lot of like with Good Soup, you have you travel with like a bag of props and other things to like give people
Yeah.
things to hold on to at the table, give them a sense of play. Let's talk about the Black Flies prop that you have created. That is a printable that anybody can have access to. Tell us, and I don't. Is it on the page? I need to go find it if it is.
Oh, I need to add it to the campaign. It was for the follower
It was,
page.
yeah, I would say it was for the teaser page, which I think I can actually look at. So maybe I'll go find it there. Because you've developed a cultist mask that people can wear. Tell us a little bit about like again like where did the choice of like, oh, here's a mask that anybody can put on like for this game, because I think a lot of people would be like, no one's gonna wear a mask, and you were like, they're gonna wear a mask, and I've watched videos of people wearing these masks, so they are doing it. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Um, yeah, it goes to the sense of like back to the map idea where it's just like having the sense of ownership and part of a thing. Um, and I think if you there's some other games, a good one that I'm blanking on the name. Oh no. I'm really good at remembering names to things. The Mind. There's this card game called The Mind, and all it is, you're trying to count numbers up without telling each other what number you have.
Yeah.
But
So it's
it
like
also
1 to
has
100, and the goal is to lay down like 22 before you lay down 44, before you lay down 53, before you lay down 50.
right. But you can't tell each other or really say anything. But what it tells you to do is everybody puts their hand in the center and bows their head, and that's you syncing up together. And then once everybody raises their head and starts, then you start playing. And so just take like if you take those like seriously as like part of the game, it just feels more immersive and more fun. And so having like those little kind of I call pieces for creativity, like breadcrumbing people to like, hey, you can do these creative things, try this. I think the mask is just another thing where it's like, hey, yeah, you could just make this a whole little spooky night if you wanted to.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. Third Floor says, what is the horror of running a crowdfunding campaign? What's the most terrifying part?
Oh gosh. The the getting it to fund. That's my horror.
Um, well, we are on our way right now. It is we currently have you've currently got 22 backers and 21 days left to go. So we've got plenty of time in front of us. Sitting right under $900. Would love to see us get over $1,000 tonight. If folks are interested, you go to ttrpg.link/blackflies. I'll drop that in. Want to thank we've had a couple people hop on and back it while we've been streaming tonight, so that was great to see. You're also doing a collaboration with the folks with the Cryptid Show, which, pardon me, I'm so excited. I think these two games, like your and Annika's design sensibilities, I think have some really interesting like overlaps and really like distinctive differences. But I do think Cryptid Show like really matches like your style, what you do with Warped FM, a
Mhm.
lot of the other GM-less things that you do. But I also know that there's a couple of goodies that are planned if people back both projects. You want to give us a sneak peek about the crossover content?
Sure. Yeah. So we created a character called the Scientist. And so the Scientist is part fly. It's like part human, part cryptid. It's like half cryptid. And so they're in the story of Black Flies, they are partly maligned and partly human. So they have this fly arm that's kind of.
Oh, I've got the art up on the screen right next right there.
Oh,
So
great. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. So David did the art for that one and it's really great. Came out great. So in Black Flies, the scientists can do cool things with the maligned. You can actually turn maligned into your own followers and that kind of thing. Um I really like the idea for the cryptid show though, because so in the show, people are going to be calling the scientist for advice on like what to do with the cryptids. And so I just think it's funny for people to be like, "Hey, have you seen any around?" It's like, "Oh no, I'm fine."
I also love that as one of the host personas in the Cryptid Show, hosts can either be a true believer, a conspiracy theorist, or a skeptic. And I love the idea of a skeptic who is halfway turned into a fly, like trying to just like rationalize that there's nothing weird about this. This is totally normal. I mean, I love the other two sides because even like the conspiracy theorist who's gonna like drive it deeper whenever they drive it, like you don't even know, man. I've seen things. I've tasted garbage you aren't even aware of. It's super. I'm super excited about some of the different just elements that y'all are working on. But yeah, the scientist as a host character, I think is going to be just so much fun for people who back both of them. Yeah, like I said, if folks want to check it out, ttrpg.link/blackflies. But no, Jordan, it was great to have you on tonight. Thanks for being our test subject here for Procedures at Play, which is a new monthly show we're going to be doing where we'll sit down with a different creator each month and dive into the mechanics that drive the play of their game, why they made the design choices they did, how they navigate those different choices that they made in play testing, and how those impact the final state of play at the table. Again, it was great to just be able to also just dive into like a little bit of like your experience as somebody who, and I know you've been talking about this a little bit more online, but I'm going to ask you kind of one big kind of like takeaway question, mainly because I don't know how to land this thing yet. Is like you talked a little about like your experiences, like user experience is your background, right? And so like there's a huge focus on accessibility and play for you. For designers or maybe even like GMs out there, like people who are running games for other people, or people just want to get their friends more into games, what is like maybe one or two key things from a user experience standpoint that more people should think about in either design or play at the table?
Um, for the design, I think a point that comes to me the quickest is expectations. So, like, when I am flipping through like a book I have never seen or just open the front cover, I want to know exactly what this book is about right away. So, like, there have been some TTRPGs where I like look through and I'm like, I don't know what materials I need. It never says anywhere that I need dice or cards or that kind of thing. So like
Yeah.
just saying things up front is great.
It's huge. It is. We were just talked about this yesterday on social media, but like people don't think about their back cover, like because they're like, oh, it's pretty, and I want it to look like. And I'm like, that's one of the key places that you can put stuff that people will look for information on your game. And even if when we get a new game in, until I learn the pattern of it, lots of times my number one way when people ask me about it is I'll hold it up like this and just pretend I'm telling them about the game, but really what I'm doing secretly is reading information off the back of the book that tells me something like Pale Dot's a collaborative story game for 2 to 5 players about a crew of dustlings who are non-human cosmonauts journeying beyond the world in search of answers, right? Like
Yeah.
it makes it so easy not only for people to know that, but for me to be able to talk about your game when I'm trying to sell it to other people. So, but having it either right up in the front or like on the back cover is huge. I have so many thoughts about how people can do back covers better, but like it just helps people know if this game is for them or not, right? Like, and I think that's so huge. So yeah, like telling people what things are about is, I think, such a great thing for folks to take away, and for your friends also if you're trying to describe a game to them that you want
Yeah,
them to
like, if
play.
you're trying to get a game together for people, it's like,
Yeah,
"Alright, it's gonna have these things.
yeah.
Are
Uh,
you wanting to do that?"
Yeah, are you wanting to do that? Or just putting soup in the middle of the table and being like, "We're here now." That's
Yeah.
another form of onboarding, also too. So, no, it's been great to have you on. We have a couple new things coming up here on stream. We'll be streaming every Wednesday night going forward. We may take some off. Don't get me wrong, but we've got procedures at play. We've got Now You've Seen It, which is our 3-way interview between 2 different creators and one of our team members where they talk about each other's games, ask questions, and provide insights into the design. That'll be in a couple of weeks. We'll have that one for this month. And then we're starting another one called Intrepid Merchants, which is going to be about the business of games, because we have a lot of folks who work in the games industry, both us and designers who we love to work with. But next week, I'm going to be sitting down with Cam Bradley, who works over at GameFound, and talking to them about their open RPG party. I'll say this at the top of the stream. Next week, I've been hypercritical of GameFound after my initial experience on there. I had a lot of really negative experiences on there, even though it was overall a very successful funding project. When I sat down with Cam and Alex to talk about those things, who work at GameFound, they were just super receptive and owned a lot of the things that I was saying as absolutely issues that they're aware of and have been working on for the last couple of years. I've watched the way they've been really kind of nurturing what they want to do with the RPG community over there, and invited Cam on to come talk about some of the great projects that they have that are launching over there and what they've done to really try to make that a better space for indie RPG. So, Intrepid Merchants is going to be focused on talking a little bit more about what cool projects are coming out, what great games people should be going to back, other great things happening in the industry, or challenging things happening in the industry. And that'll be once a month also, too. Fridays and Saturdays, we'll be back to streaming regularly with some other pop-up stuff from our cult here at Plus One EXP, Keegan and Sarah. If you want to check out any of that, hit follow on the platform you're watching on right now. And we look forward to seeing you in the chat. I'll figure, Jordan, you got any ideas? What should this, you're early, so you got to have a closing line for your show. You got to have a way you sign it off consistently. Any ideas for what it should be for procedures at play? We can give it a try tonight. If it doesn't work, that's okay. It's chat. If you have ideas, it's a great time to throw them out.
Playing
Just
out
keep
there.
playing.
I don't know.
I don't know. All right.
It's gotta be something punny with the procedures at play.
That's what you want to do. So like prestige class, it was like, this has been prestige class, and class is dismissed. And Vi came up with that one. It was really good and worked really well, but it was because I didn't have one yet. On our main streams, my sign off is we've never figured out a way to end these things, and at this point we're not interested in trying, so we're just going to wave at the stream until I take us offline, which is a meta joke because that is my sign off. And that comes from the fact that there's a radio host and podcast impresario, Jesse Thorne, whose sign off for one of their radio shows is, and remember, every good radio show host has a signature sign off. That is their sign off, is just saying that phrase every single time because somebody told them that piece of information, and I've taken it to heart. Yeah, we'll try Just Keep Playing tonight. All right, so let's we'll frame it up like we had just finished talking about other important design stuff. This is Tony Vicinda and Jordan Dube, whose name I pronounced correctly this time. This has been Procedures at Play, and remember, just keep playing. That felt good. We'll see.